Okay, so we're diving deep into habits today.
Habits.
Yeah, with Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit.
Excellent book.
It is, yeah. I really enjoyed this one. It's, I mean, habits are
Yeah.
just such a
Foundational.
foundational,
Yeah,
part of life, whether we think about them or not.
absolutely.
They're kind of running the show, right?
You really are, yeah. And I think, a lot of people feel like they're
Mm-hmm.
a slave to their habits,
Oh, for sure.
and they don't realize that they can actually change them.
Totally. And that's what's so cool about this book, I think. It
Yeah.
kind of breaks it down
It does.
in a way that makes it seem,
Understandable.
yeah, like not this big scary thing.
Exactly. And approachable, like
Yeah, for sure.
you can actually do something about this.
Right. So, well, okay. I guess for people who haven't read the book, let's
Yeah.
what's the core idea here? Like what's the main thing that Duhigg.
Well, he starts out talking about this thing called the habit loop.
Right.
And he breaks it down into
Yeah.
3 parts.
Yeah.
He says there's a cue,
Okay.
a routine,
Hmm.
and then a reward.
Right.
So basically the cue is anything that kind of triggers the habit.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be like an alarm clock,
It could be, yeah, an alarm clock,
time of day.
time of day, or like a location,
Mm-hmm.
If you always
Right.
smoke a cigarette when you go outside,
Yeah, a certain place, yeah.
that could be the cue.
Okay, so cue. And then the routine is...
That's the actual behavior itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the smoking the cigarette, the
Hitting the snooze button.
hitting the snooze button, you got it.
Okay.
And then the reward is
Yeah.
the thing that you get out of it.
So like the feeling of
The feel.
the nicotine, or the feeling of like, oh, I got 5 more minutes of sleep.
Yeah. It could be a physical sensation.
Right.
It could be an emotional feeling.
Right. It could be, anything that your brain kind of associates
Yeah.
with that behavior.
So that seems pretty simple. Like it's only 3 things. Is that really all it is?
Well, what's interesting is that this loop, this 3-part loop, it actually gets like hardwired into our brains
Oh, right.
through repetition.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the more we repeat a behavior,
Hmm.
the stronger those neural pathways become.
Gotcha.
And it makes it almost automatic.
Right. So we don't even have to
Yeah.
think about it anymore. It just,
Exactly. Like you don't even realize you're
Yeah.
doing it half the time.
yeah. So like, I was reading that Duhigg uses this example of like
Yeah.
brushing your teeth.
Yeah. It's a classic example.
Right. Like you don't really think about it. You just kind
Right.
of go through the motion.
You don't have to remind
Well,
yourself every morning, okay, I got to pick up the toothbrush. It's just like,
You just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so okay. Then how do we break a bad habit
Well,
if it's so ingrained?
that's the $1,000,000 question, right?
You're right.
And Duhigg has some really good insights on this. One of the key things that he talks about
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
you can't just like eliminate a bad habit.
Right.
You have to like replace it with something else.
Okay.
So, if you're trying to quit smoking, you
Okay.
can't just like stop smoking.
Right.
You have to like find something else to do.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So it's about understanding the cue,
Yeah.
the trigger, and then having something else lined up.
Exactly. So let's go back to your procrastination example.
Okay.
You said that you should tackle the big project first thing in the morning.
Right.
But you always end up checking email,
Yeah.
tidying your desk,
Right.
all these other things.
Anything but that thing I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
the cue there is that feeling of overwhelm or anxiety that
Okay.
you get
Yeah.
when you think about
When I think about that project, yeah.
that big project. And then the routine
Yeah.
is all those avoidance tactics.
Checking the email, tidying in the desk,
Checking the email, tidying the desk,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Scrolling on social media.
Exactly. So what you need to do is figure out, okay,
Yeah.
when I feel that feeling of overwhelm,
Yeah. Right.
what's a more productive action
Yeah.
that I can take?
Okay.
Instead of doing those avoidance things,
So like maybe breaking it down into
breaking it down
smaller tasks.
smaller tasks, yeah.
Right.
Or even just like spending 5 minutes like brainstorming ideas for the project.
Yeah.
Just something that kind of gets
Gets the ball rolling.
gets the ball rolling, gets you moving in the right direction.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
the reward may just be like the absence of the bad feeling.
Right.
So it has to be something
Yeah.
positive and motivating.
Right.
So maybe it's the satisfaction of of getting that one crucial step done,
I-
or even just the relief of
Right.
taking action instead of stewing in that anxiety.
I see. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So we really have to be intentional about what that reward is.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. So one thing that I really loved in the book was this idea of keystone habits.
Oh yeah, keystone habits are great.
Can you remind me what those are again?
So keystone habits are basically these
Oh.
habits that have like a ripple effect on other areas of your life.
Okay.
So they're like these small changes
Yeah.
that can lead to big
Yeah.
results.
Okay.
And Duhigg gives a great example of this. He
Yeah.
talks about making your bed every morning.
Right.
Seems like a very simple thing, but he argues that it can actually set the tone for a more productive and organized day.
Right.
Because it's like
Okay.
you're starting your day off
We're starting it. Or
by accomplishing something.
right.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a sense of control,
Yes.
you know, like from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm
in charge here.
already succeeding.
Yeah, and then that kind of that feeling can carry over
Right.
into other areas of your life.
So then you're more likely to eat a healthy breakfast or
Exactly, or go to the gym,
right.
or tackle those big projects.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
So are there any other like examples of keystone habits?
Yeah, he's got a couple of really cool ones.
Okay.
He talks about Michael Phelps.
Oh, right.
Yep.
The swimmer.
The Olympic swimmer, yeah.
Yeah.
And he talks about how Phelps had this really elaborate pre-race routine.
Okay.
And it wasn't just like, superstition. It was
Yeah.
actually like a carefully crafted set of
Yeah.
cues and routines
Right. Yeah.
that helped him manage his stress and get into like
Right.
this flow state.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
the keystone habit for him
All right.
was visualization.
Okay.
So he would actually like mentally rehearse the entire race,
Cool.
stroke by stroke,
In his head.
in his head.
Yes.
And the feeling of victory at the end became his reward.
So it's almost like his brain was already experiencing the reward
Yeah,
before he even jumped in the pool.
exactly.
That's
So powerful.
yeah, it is really powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got making the bed, we've got visualization. Any other
I think.
examples of keystone habits?
Well, he also talks about Starbucks.
Oh, right.
Well,
What do they do?
So their keystone habit is
Yeah.
actually a customer service routine that
Sure.
they train all their employees on.
Okay.
And it goes beyond just like basic politeness,
Yeah.
It's really about anticipating customer needs,
Okay.
offering personalized recommendations,
Right.
even engaging in like genuine small talk with
Yeah.
the customers.
Yeah.
And the reward for this
Yeah.
is that they create these
Okay.
loyal customers
Right.
who feel seen and valued.
Right.
And so they keep coming back
And buying more coffee.
and buying more coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's not just like self-improvement stuff. You
Right.
know, like
It can be applied to
it can be applied to businesses, to
absolutely
well, yeah,
organizations. Yeah.
to any area of life, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, this has been really really helpful, I think.
I feel like I'm starting to understand this stuff a lot better.
Yeah.
So if someone's listening to this
yeah.
and they're thinking like, okay,
Mhm.
I want to start changing some habits.
Yeah.
What's like the first step? What should they do?
Well, Duhigg recommends
Yeah.
starting by
Yeah.
identifying a habit that
Right.
you want to change,
All right.
and then really drilling down
Yeah.
to the components of that habit loop.
So figuring out the
Cue. What's the cue? What's the routine?
routine.
What's the reward?
Okay.
And most importantly, like,
Right.
is that reward
Yeah.
truly motivating you?
Right.
Right.
Because if it's not, then
If it's not, you're
Found-
going to stick with it.
I'm not going to stick with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got to figure out the cue, the routine, the reward, and make sure that reward is actually something we want.
Yeah. And once you've got a good understanding of that, then you can start to think about, okay, how can I
Yeah.
tweak this habit?
Right.
How can I make it work for me?
Okay.
You know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really really eye-opening, I think.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it really makes you realize how much
Yeah.
our lives are just run by
Heidi's.
these unconscious
Yeah,
patterns.
yeah.
But the good news is
The good news is
we can change them.
we can change them. We can
Yeah.
take control.
Right. And design the life that we want. Right.
Exactly. One good habit at a time.
One good habit at a time. Yeah. So I guess for anyone listening out there, the question to ask yourself is,
Yeah.
what's one small thing that you could change in your routine
Yeah.
that might have a ripple effect?
It's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
What could be your keystone habit?
Your keystone habit. All right. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
It's been my pleasure.
I've learned a lot,
Me too.
and hopefully everyone listening has picked up a few
Yeah.
things along the way as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's it for today. We'll see you next time
See you next time.
for another deep dive. Bye.
Bye.